And it's tough. Okay, so they ban it out. So now, I'm not even going to go deeper into that explanation, but it's going to force him into a Lolita pick. Similar thing, though. Sometimes you are trying to get those setups, and it doesn't end up working out. So hopefully here, for Kakadut, he's able to pull this off with a Lolita pick.
It's fine. It has been kind of like figured out by NXPE that the Ruby might get picked here by ONIC Philippines. So they result to a Lolita, in which I would actually consider that would work on NXPE side, because you have the Farsa and you have the Claude. It's going to be very easy for you to maneuver. So great way to deny it from NXPE to at least not cause any more trouble. But when you look at NXPE this time around, there's still some room for them to pick up at least an XP laner, the Lapu Lapu or the Benedetta that I've mentioned from a while ago. They're going to be picking up the Hayabusa and the Cho.
All right, Rome Cho.
So XP Fredrin.
Exactly.
Huh.
I don't know how to feel about this. I'm on a loss. I love me some Fredrin, but the XP lane version of it is hot and cold. Huh.
Here's what I'm thinking regarding this Cho pickup. You pick up the Cho because you have the Claude on the other side. So it's somewhat gonna be easy for you to pick up the Claude using that Wave the Dragon tactic. But at some point, when you take a look at this composition, one Numinum Blast can just wreak havoc on these on the composition that NXPE has. And in addition to that one, what's missing from the lineup of NXPE is that vision control. You don't have any way for the rest of the members of NXPE to find and gather information in which could be like a potential advantage going for the side of ONIC.
That lineup that both teams actually drafted, I have to say, is very reminiscent of our predictions. It's here and there. Like, there's no clear call. I actually can't say.
Yep.
It's tough to say. I mean, as we get another look here, both lineups, one of the biggest things is this Hayabusa pick. You have to be able to get that early start you're looking for, right? We saw exactly how dire it can be if it is shut down early on. So they're going to have to pull that off, and we're going to have to wait a little bit longer before we actually get to see this unfold. But yeah, both teams, both team compositions, it can go either way.
Okay, given how ONIC PH drafted, I'm not sure how easy it is to deny the SB from the HB, because they only have the Lolita. That's the one that can actually sit in that bush and then try to stop and bonk the ninja. Before
SB to the HB.
Yeah, snowball, the Hayabusa,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
I was wondering what the SB was.
Yeah, snowball. Hayabusa.
Yeah,
Now,
hey.
Hayabusa is one word, by the way, folks. I know. You don't have to spell it out for me. But that being said, maybe NEXPLAY EVOS can get away with it. Maybe. Because, again, it's very expensive for ONIC PH to do that unless they planned for this. Unless they've done this before in scrims and they've crafted this lineup to go, yeah, if they pick the Hayabusa, we're going to give it to Boyet.
Compositions, and it will really just come down to these the execution factor. But when we saw those stats, we know that NXPE is going to be wanting to contest and has a good chance of winning those early objectives.
Look at that, though. 2 concussive blasts for both Ding DR and Brusco DR. So they're really looking forward to just being the sponge of the team. We saw ONIC Philippines from a while ago being the ones that would usually take the most damage because they lead it. But again, the fact stays that there are a lot of other tanky factors coming in from NXPE that they could use to just gather the damage and funnel the damage off of those 2 members. And ONIC Philippines would not have anything left in terms of the team fights later on.
And I think ONIC understands that dynamic, right? That's why they have these purifies, and that's why there's a good amount of mobility. Like, look at this. Phoveus would be happy to face off against ONIC PH. Look, they can all dash.
Right.
They can all get out of there. They can skedaddle if they needed to. So, that being said, this first hurdle could be a gut check if NEXPLAY EVOS is ready to tango with that.
Yeah, well, the positioning here in favor of ONIC Philippines right now, given that vision, a Wild Boyet, go ahead, lets him just work on it, right? But poking as well is going to come out here. Kakadut not level 4 just yet. And Sensui go ahead and still proceed with his turtle. Brusco, though, it's going to be crucial if he can get a pick off. Black Dragon Form is going to come out. Still working on it. There's the Feathered Airstrike. It's going to be secured by Sensui. There's the charge up. Ding's going to be in trouble here. Punish, first blood going over to ONIC Philippines along with the turtle.
That was great patience coming in from ONIC Philippines. They knew that they had the turtle pulled onto their side and immediately using those ultimates to gather not only the major objective but also getting a kill in the process. It reached the point wherein Brusco DR actually had the level lead. He had the level 4 first compared to Kekidut, who was level 3 before the turtle fight even started. So that Numinum Blast was just right on time because he got that level 4 before the team fight even ended. So they got the pick off after that. ONIC leads 1K.
And that's talking about the fact that NEXPLAY EVOS missed out on the turtle. They already had the extra shields. ONIC PH could have really forced the issue there. So that's a win on top of a win, which explains the, again, about 1K difference here, 3 minutes in. Now, where does that put NEXPLAY EVOS? Which lanes do they attack? They're losing the snowball. It's happening.
This is slowly coming in to the ONIC advantage. But speaking of some certain points where they can put the pressure in, Boyet DR might just go and put the pressure on Nets right away, in which they're actually doing so because you have the Master Assassin as your emblem, and it just increases with the mobility and also the agility that you have being the Hayabusa. But ONIC has been covering all of their bases so far. They're not letting, Nets go. They're putting Kekidut into those brushes where the rest of the members could actually come up.
There's the way the Dragon quite tanky himself here. Sensui gonna dash and weave right out of there, completely fine. So, that's the thing. If the biggest obstacle here for NXPE is who do we focus? And yeah, Nets would be the biggest target, but Kekidut's doing a great job at just kind of protecting him, hovering around that area.
Sensui didn't respond to that at all.
He's
just like, yep, no, I don't find. Prince pop the ult. All right, now we try for turtle. Like that was a very good sequence. Putting ONIC here clearly in the lead, that they have the confidence to hold this lead this early on.
They're gonna try to mirror each other a little bit here, and also, yeah, like you mentioned, Sona, Domeng, he has to pretty much get back into this the laning phase that he has. He needs to get the items he needs. Nets was able to take that down rather quickly. Again, protected a lot by Kekidut. So now you can see the rotations happening here, all getting set up again for that next turtle. Look at that Nets though. Gonna use that Purify. Gets out of there. Another flicker committed.
Wow.
Not gonna be able to find Brusco with a Numinum Blast from Kekidut.
All right. No, so despite there not being any casualties or results, I think that is a win for NEXPLAY EVOS. A small win. They got a lot of resources.
They got a lot of resources, and now the focus on Sensui. The Shadow Kill was used too, but they're just so tanky here. It's really difficult for NXPE to actually find a kill.
Very curious to see what Sensui is built up here to just, tank a lot of damage coming in from both the Hayabusa and also Brusco and Goyong DR up to that point. And ONIC Philippines so far has been doing a pretty good job at taking care of their very own selves because they're not really, forcing themselves into a team fight that they know that they don't have the damage just yet. Meanwhile, NXPE is forcing Super Friends to use those ultimates, to use those wings by wings, just to get out of situations as ONIC. It seems like another clear turtle take has been happening for the side of the Hedgehogs.
This is different than what we saw from the stats. The stats man was, 74% turtle takes, I think it was, for NXPE, something along those lines. But hey, ONIC Philippines getting clean sweep on the turtles.
I think it's his exact point. That's why ONIC is playing this way.
Yeah.
They know that NEXPLAY EVOS wants these turtles. They see that it's a Hayabusa over there, which, by the way, the last time we saw from Boyet was last Friday when they played against Brenny Sports, Game 3. But that already got me scratching my head. It's like, Boyet's not a prolific Haya user, but wait!
Okay, Brusco. Oh, man, the damage is too much. Super Prince grabbing the kill, though, and just overlaid of ultimates and abilities working out so well for ONIC Philippines. It's only the second kill of the game, but look at the lead they've garnered. 2.6K, the 8-minute mark.
Again, there's no return. There's no, clapback coming in from NXPE. ONIC Philippines just knew where to place those ultimates, who to prioritize at this point, and it now forces NXPE to even use their ultimates in a defensive manner just to escape.
Yeah, so good news, bad news is Boyet can still use his ult and take his buffs, right? He can go ahead, help clear, maybe farm, slowly but surely, he's safe. Hasn't died yet. Bad news is he hasn't gotten any kills.
Yeah.
They haven't made any, I'd say, significant pushes. No huge team fights either. Like, you're playing pickoff, you're playing guerrilla tactics. 0 kills at 9 minutes, it really doesn't mean much.
It feels like they're just trying to buy time, honestly. You know, just wait here. And yes, it's 9 minutes, but that's the thing. How much time do you need for NXPE? More poking going on here. Domang has to burn the flicker. So now going to be quite low, but response, they find 2. Can they get the kills? There you go. Boy, unable to grab that. That's a double kill. Put him on the board finally. 9 minutes in, leading into the first Lord of the game.
Exactly what you want if you're NXPE. Great knockup coming in from Brusco DR just to stop them. And also that Bennett's Rage coming in from Doming DR to assist them with an extra amount of damage. Because before the start of that team fight, NXPE was like, they're kind of doubting their the initiation that they've made. But after NXPE using all of their skills to fortunately put those 2 heroes on to sleep, ONIC Philippines is now, even if they're still leading, at some point, there's NXPE finding their way back in this game.
Is this the era where Beatrix's Bennett now matters? Because for the first time in a long time, right? Like, that thing matters now. It's always been Renner, always been Nibiru. At some point, Wesker was the best.
Yeah.
So now Bennett.
Huh.
Beatrix has gone through her own evolution, basically. Even throughout the meta. Even though she doesn't pop up as much as used to, she's still very valuable. But right now, it's NXPE that has to be able to find value in this fight. They don't want to give this up to ONIC Philippines, despite that little lead they had. They had 2 kills they were able to put on the board. They just got to be careful how they approach it. Boyette waiting for his own angle here. Brusco can also look for a big pickoff using the conceal. Looking for Super Prince, gets the way of the dragon, but not going to be able to commit on it. Gets poked down by Nets. Brusco putting himself in bad position. And now they're going to get punished for it. Ryota zoning them out, and like that, ONIC Philippines able to secure the first Lord.
Just the benefit of having those Purifies, man. I'm telling you, the Purify, especially going up against a Cho, is massive in terms of this fight. ONIC Philippines knew that Super Friends was going to be the target of Brusco DR, but because of those extra elements added into the recipe, ONIC manages to get that one without any casualty and also taking Brusco DR in the process. It's only the Dominance Ice that has been built up by Brusco DR, so he has no answer so far to the damage that Super Friends is giving him.
Oh, look at this. ONIC have stolen away. Boyette's purple, but just the same, Boyette is stealing it back.
It's, you know, with this game, even though it's not high kill or anything, it's just clean, especially on ONIC Philippines side. Look at this, the overlaying once again and getting another flicker out. The usage of the Feathered Airstrike from Super Prince is so on point. A lot of the times, it's just to get NXPE to react, sometimes even use some of those battle spells, and they profit off of it.
Also locking in that Haas clause for Doming DR to sustain himself in terms of these fights. But when you take a look, especially not only at the player's goal, but also the items that he has picked up, he has already secured the Corrosion Scythe and 2 extra items to increase his attack speed. That is the Golden Staff and the Demon Hunter Sword. So in terms of the team fights, ONIC is really going to have the upper hand, especially when taking a look at the 2.7k damage. And speaking of damage, Super Friends has doubled? No, tripled the amount of damage that Doming DR, the main leader of damage from NXPE, is already getting. So it doesn't only come up to the point of pressure, but also with the poke damage that Super Fins is giving to the rest of the members of the Tigers.
We're about a minute away from this Luminous Lord spawning, and ONIC is keeping this 2.5, about 3k gold lead here. It's an honest lead. They're not exactly cordoning off NEXPLAY EVOS from major resources. It's more of just ONIC is, I'd say, allowing them to make moves, but not ones that would hinder them, or at least allow them to catch up.
And that's the thing. I mean, with the lineup that NXPE has here, we were talking about this in the draft, they have to be able to find picks. And at this point, it hasn't looked too good other than the 2 kills they got up earlier, right? So this is the difficulty that they're really having. And, you know, how does this translate to these next couple of Lord fights?
Heals here being picked up here. instruments or items are being picked up here by both Boyet and Doming DR. I've mentioned a while ago that Doming has picked up the Has Claws. Meanwhile, Boyet DR has picked up the Endless Battle. So that's increased basic attack. If they want to go for a pick-off or a team fight, mixed with the Master Assassin is going to be massive and huge. Meanwhile, he has also gotten that extra 10% cooldown that will really be beneficial for them later on, because you don't want to be in a team fight and have those timers wait for you, because ONIC Philippines really has those, really has a lineup that will punish you later on in this matchup if they really caught you inside their backs.
Yeah, not to mention the Purify. Not to mention the fact that they also have an escape valve for them.
Yeah. This one's going to come down to if Boyet can get in there and just kind of steal this under ONIC Philippines' noses. Because look at this. I mean, Nets, even able to just force Ding back. The couple of shots here. So it either comes down to Brusco, if he can find an angle. Very similar to the previous fight. Conceal play going to be committed here. There's also a big wave bottom side that they got to keep an eye on. And now Ding going to find out Kekudut. Still, ONIC Philippines taking this one slowly. But Goyang going to regen a little bit of that health back. And still pushing back here. ONIC Philippines really waiting. Brusco does go in, but he finds Kekudut. He has the immortality too. Nets forcing everybody back with the blazing duet. It's only Brusco that falls, but the Numenor Blast finds another target. Ding, one hit away. Can he escape? Super Prince did fall, but ONIC Philippines dominating that fight.
Could have been much worse for ONIC PH, but NEXPLAY EVOS, they got picked off, like the right people got picked off.
And that was the perfect time for Nets to unleash his fury, right? Locking in that blazing duet right away, and also having Ryota to just set things up for them, distract the rest of the members of NXPE, while ONIC Sensui is taking care of the Lord for them. 15 minutes into the game is really evident here, that 3.7k gold lead, especially now that Nets has that luxury of picking up that defensive item, which is a brute force breastplate, and not go all out offensive, because he knows that the rest of the members of NXPE doesn't have the defensive items just yet. You're only taking a look at a Guardian's Helmet and the Dominance Eyes built with a Molten Essence coming in from the Fredrin, which is Ding DR, and that's not a lot of defensive items to just back from the Claude.
Ooh!
Okay, they're going to push him back again. Lord finally going to get taken down. There you go. That's what they were looking for. Kekudut Immortality going to be popping. They can't get the kill, though. Now it's Brusco getting punished. Nets grabbing a kill himself. Boyet. Now the focus of Sensui. Ryota with Black Dragon form going to push him back. Noodle Blast going to be charged up. Not going to find a target here, but they inevitably lose another turret top side.
Oh, close call. See how far Boyet went to try and get a kill? And again, we've seen this. This is the story of the past one or two team fights. Huge team fights as we enter the late game. NEXPLAY EVOS can deal out damage, but ONIC PH just denies it.
Just denies it, given the fact that Ryota and Kekudut is there. Kekudut was almost picked off from that one team fight alone. But thanks to that flicker, he was able to get out. And also the tenacity, because the lower the HP you have, the tankier you become with this emblem. So at this point, it's now ONIC Philippines' game to win, and NXPE just needs to find another way for them to get the pick off, because Goyong DR, yes, he is a 0, 1, and 3 at this point, but you can't really use the full potential of the Kadita, because every single map or every single area of NXPE's base is now being covered by the side of ONIC Philippines.
And that's what makes this, 17-minute bout so interesting. ONIC PH are keeping it very close, right? 3.5, 4K give or take. But they're still so very intentional and so surgical about this approach.
Right.
Like they know what they're allowed to do and what they can let NXPE get away with without overtaking them or without getting close to even closing that gap.
What I'm wondering too is,
Whoa.
Oh, hold on.
Found
Conceal
someone.
play. Gonna come out here. Their focus is Boyet. Can he juke them out? No, he can't. He just got deleted in a second. And now that he is gone, ONIC Philippines make a beeline to the Lord. They try to stop him. There's the kick from Brusco. They also have the damage. Kekudut is gonna fall here. Ryota on the chase. It's 2 down for NXPE. ONIC Philippines, they give the call. They want the Lord.
And they're gonna go straight for it. And now, Joseph, I want to ask, what were you wondering?
Man, I was wondering exactly what NXPE has to do to actually, you know, because like you mentioned, it wasn't a big lead. You know, it was surgical from ONIC Philippines.
It's never a big lead. It's just,
Yeah.
it's always this way.
Yeah, and NXPE, I honestly feel like when it came to a team fight and they're able to do things correctly, they could actually probably win those fights. But with the way they're getting picked off, the way that they're getting bursted down, as you just saw, it's really tough. It's really tough to imagine how they can do that.
NXPE had the intention of trying to go for the ambush play just because they had the notion that the feathered airstrike was actually gone. So that is increased awareness for them, and that is one way for them to actually bounce back in this fight. But again, you're taking a look at an almost 5K gold lead, almost an entirely full build for the rest of the members of ONIC Philippines. And if you're taking a look at NXPE, there is still yet or a lot to be desired, especially coming in from the Kadita, in which he actually managed to get a kill or a pick-off from a while ago. So that is very much ideal if you're from the side of the Neon Tigers, but you also have to take note of Brusco, though.
Oh, look at him!
Silent.
Yeah, he is looking for his own angle. He's going to be looking probably to kick nets because he's got to work around these Purifies too. Mid turret's going to go down. There's Brusco. He does find nets with the Way of the Dragon, but is it going to be enough? Brusco does get out with a sliver of health, but the base is now going to be